Okay, September 15th, and we're in an interesting phase now of the ERDF part of the ESIF programme. The second substantive call is about to end, and I think it's perhaps worth time just taking stock of where we are, because perhaps we've gone from programme design to opening the programme and managing the applications to our projects, and perhaps we're about to move into that stage of programme management, where the managing authority needs to work with and advise and be advised by the National Growth Board about how best to manage the programme as a whole rather than managing individual projects which are coming forward. I think generally it's an extremely positive picture. Over £1 billion of ERDF has been made available in the first 2 rounds of calls. That's over 40% of the entire 7-year allocation. And I think that's very, very positive. Pleasingly, upwards of 60% of outline applications have been prioritised by local partnerships and been brought forward by the managing authority as being a successful application at that stage. Now, that figure may fall, there may be some attrition during the appraisal process. But when we add in the fact that over the coming months we will see in many parts of the north and the Midlands in particular, very large proposals for financial engineering instruments, venture capital funds, proof of concept funds. Those sums could take the amount of funding, at least nominally committed, well beyond 50–60% of the 7-year figure. And I think that, again, that's a really strong start. It means the managing authority have got a particularly heavy workload at the front end, and perhaps partners need to work with them as closely as possible to make sure that appraisal process happens as smoothly and as quickly as possible. And indeed, we're expecting more calls to take place, certainly one later this year and a series of further calls next year. So I think a good start has been made, but ensuring that we get the appraisal process and the full applications and delivery started as soon as possible. One issue that's on the agenda, of course, is the potential for, as part of the devolution deals, for some of the funds to be devolved in certain places. And there are papers which were considered at the Growth Board around perhaps the establishment of further intermediate bodies. From a university perspective, is that a hugely critical issue? Well, A, I would argue not, and B, of course, it's a matter for government to determine how it wishes to manage the funds. I think what's critical for me, though, in the devolution process and the use of these funds is ensuring that the partnership principle remains established and we continue to see transparency of process as required by the Code of Conduct. And I think ensuring that the whole process of devolution maintains the positive start and the momentum and we don't see a hiatus because of that process. I think that's important. I think other issues, perhaps in the near future, the National Committee may wish to reflect upon the extent to which some of the new simplifications have been adopted and brought forward both by applicants and by the managing authority itself, and perhaps to reflect upon the extent to which proposals to work across borders have managed to find their way through this system, because of course many universities, quite understandably, in their relationships with businesses and their innovation programmes, work across more than one LEP area. So those 2 areas I think would be worthy of some review in the near future. We also understand that the national subcommittees will be established in the near future, and I think an early part of that process will be quite specific on what their function is as well as their form. We're quite clear on the form, but what purpose will they serve and what role will they have in helping to manage the programme as well as facilitating the passage of projects.